certain plants, right? So the first bit that you might need to highlight or to get clear is why the need for transport system in plants, right? If we recall from our photosynthesis, our respiration, and even our transpiration, plants, let's start with photosynthesis, right? Plants tend to need carbon dioxide and also tend to need water for them to be able to photosynthesize, right? And we will need to get the water from the roots. The plants will need to get the water from the soil, right? And again, we'll need to take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, hence requiring a transport system to carry out all those raw materials. When the plants get water from the soil, the water still needs to get to the leaves, where they will combine with carbon dioxide, right? Here's the need for a transport system in plants. Same as even in respiration, we are seeing that almost every part of the plant actually respires, but the plants will be depending on the glucose that has been formed during photosynthesis, and the glucose will be still in the leaves. So hence the need for a transport system to carry out the glucose to all the parts of the plant that needs to respire, right? So plants depend on the vascular tissues for this job of transportation of minerals, of water, and even of sugars, right? So plants contain two types of transport vessels, and we have the xylem vessels and the phloem vessels, right? So the xylem vessels transport water and minerals, the dissolved minerals, from the roots to the stem and leaves, right? So we are saying that the roots are responsible for just trapping the water into the plant, but then the xylem vessels will take over the roots and then transport this water and all the dissolved minerals in it to the stem and to the leaves, right? Then we have the phloem vessels, which are responsible for transporting food material from the made by the plant from photosynthesis, right, to all the non-photosynthesizing regions in the plant, which are the roots and the stem, right? These vessels are arranged throughout the roots, stem, and leaves in groups called vascular bundles, right? So whenever we talk of the vascular tissues, we have to think of the xylem and the phloem vessels. The xylem being responsible for transporting water, and the phloem being responsible for transporting food material, right? Let's start with the movement of water in plants, right? First, we have water in the soil. The plants get water from the soil, right? So water enters the plant through the root hairs by the process called osmosis. So that's the point to note there. Osmosis is the process by which water enters the plant, right? So we're saying this is because soil water is a high water potential than the cytoplasm in the root hairs, which means we're saying that we have more water in the soil than there is water in the plant cell, right? So water will move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. That's the definition of osmosis now. So water travels up the xylem from the roots into the leaves, right, of the plant to replace the water that has been lost due to transpiration. So we're saying that during the day, plants tend to lose water by the process of transpiration, and we're now saying that osmosis will then help in getting the lost water, because the cells will be having low concentration of water, a lower concentration of water as compared to what the soil will be containing, right? So we're now seeing osmosis now taking place, and the xylem now helping out in carrying the water from the roots to the leaves, right? So transpiration is defined as the loss of water vapor from plant leaves through the stomata, right? So movement in xylem, this is the point to note again. Movement of water in the xylem only take place in one direction, that is from the roots to the leaves. You see, this is unlike in the phloem where the movement is bidirectional. It can actually go in different directions, right? Then let's get to talk about the movement of gases in plants, right? This is quite simple because we know that plant leaves have got stomata, which are the openings that allow gaseous exchange, right? So gases move by the process of diffusion, where we are saying that diffusion is the net movement of anything, right, from a region of high concentration to a region of lower concentration, right? And this is driven by what? By the gradient, by a gradient in the concentration, right? The next bit that you have to talk about is the movement of mineral ions and sugars, right? Where we are saying that the soluble products of photosynthesis, which are sugars, they are transported around the plant in the phloem tubes, which are made of living cells, right? We're saying that the transport of sugars in the phloem from a region of production to region of storage or use is called translocation. So we're saying that when the sugars that are produced in the leaves, when they are being transported throughout the plant, we're calling that process translocation, right? So we also have mineral ions that we might add to the plant, like our fertilizers, and even some other form of mineral ions that you may give to the plant. They move by the process of active transport, where we are saying that active transport is the movement of dissolved mineral ions in or out of the cell, right? From a region of lower concentration now. It's not from a region of higher, but it's from a region of lower concentration now to a region of higher concentration. And this is all against the concentration gradient. Are you seeing it? Because we are moving from lower concentration to higher concentration. So at the very end of the day, this will require some form of energy. And the energy that is used there is released during the process of respiration, right? Yeah, that's basically what we have in when we are talking about transport in plants. First thing to note is the movement of water, which is osmosis from the soil into the roots, and again transpiration, where we are talking about the water loss through the leaves. Then we have diffusion, which is the movement of gases in and out of the leaf. Then we also have translocation, which is the movement of sugars throughout the plant, right? Then we also have active transport, which is the movement of mineral ions from lower to higher concentration. Those are the points that we are supposed to be noting here. And again, we can never forget about the phloem and the xylem, which are our vascular tissues. The xylem responsible for water transportation, and the phloem is responsible for food transportation. Yeah, that's basically what we have. If you want to see probably the picture of the structure of our xylems, we can actually use this.